head down there now towards Donnington Castle. welcome. This is going to be a separate video to the fair video. Just exploring Newbury. This is Donnington Castle. We are about a mile or so outside the town centre right now. Just exploring the countryside of West Berkshire. And Donnington Castle. It's very scenic, very lovely here. Yeah, I will bring you along, show you around, show you what's here.
Down as 12 o'clock on a clock, and if you come to 2 o'clock, you just see there's a bit of green there. That's a field. That's roughly where the first Battle of Newbury was, 1643. Okay, and it was a score draw.
Right.
Okay, and then a year later, October 1644. So this month, I can't remember the date. Do you remember the actual date?
Not this
No, I
month,
can't remember. Okay, but 380 years ago, this month, the second battle happened here. Donnington village was owned by a friend of King Charles II.
Okay.
But unfortunately, he kept lending money to the king, and the king never repaid it. And they somewhat fell out. And the owner of Donnington village, sorry, can't remember his name, sort of switched allegiance to the parliamentarian side, which Charles wasn't very happy about. And Charles brought an army down from Oxford. He had retreated to Oxford to intercept a parliamentarian army that was coming from the West Country, and roughly was again at about 2 o'clock, which is kind of where the Hare and Hounds is, not the Hare and
yeah, Hare and Hounds on the A4.
On the A4.
Yeah.
Yeah. 8,000 men on Charles' side, about 18,000 parliamentarians, but they'd marched for several days. So roughly, I think the rough population of Newbury today is about 30,000. So you weren't far off the entire population of Newbury. And basically, King had the advantage of the castle and height. There's a river at the bottom, the River Lambourne, and you know, from the top you can sea for a long way. And on the parliamentarian side, you had Cromwell, the Earl of Essex and Earl of Manchester. And just to our kind of left, 3 o'clock, 10 minutes walk, Shaw House, which was also held by the Royalists. It's a big Grade 1 listed, beautiful house. And the Earl of Manchester took I might not have the right language, but took a group of soldiers to attack that. And the idea was, let's get Shaw House first, and then we'll come back, consolidate, and we'll take on the castle. But the Royalists were much better prepared at Shaw House than anticipated, and so they all got a bit bogged down there, and Manchester didn't come back with his troops to reinforce those attacking the castle. So basically, I think right around us here now, you had a whole series of skirmishes on. There was a very particular day, and I'm sorry, I cannot remember the exact date, but it was October. And where the golf course is now, here again, just kind of between 2 and 3 o'clock, it's immediately underneath us, is where Cromwell had his battle on that date. I've read slightly conflicting reports. I've read one that on the day he actually lost his battle, and I've read one that he won, and I'm choosing to decide that he lost. But, you know, it makes it a bit more interesting. But basically, the whole series of skirmishes, the castle was badly damaged, not to this extent. And at the end of that day, it had all been a bit inconclusive, and the parliamentarians went and camped over here in Coldash. I think it's called Clay Hill. And Charles knew that he was in terrible danger because hugely outnumbered, could have been surrounded, and he'd have had it. Yeah. And so literally in the middle of the night, he and his troops snuck past the Royalists, the parliamentarians, and fled back up to Oxford.
Yeah, they did. And the bridge there in Donnington, there's a bridge there. They went over that bridge.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, and they went off to Oxford.
Ah, okay, right. I know
Yeah.
that. And then they left again, language may not be exactly right, but a garrison here to hold the castle for as long as they reasonably could. And the next day, when the parliamentarians discovered that Charles had got away, they had a punch up amongst themselves because they were pretty bloody cross they'd got him. Yes. And Manchester copped for the blame. And so it was ultimately, both battles in Newbury were inconclusive, were not that fundamental to the progress of the Civil War. But what I've read is that the significance of the second battle was that as a result of the cock-up of letting Charles get away, they decided to professionalise the new model army, which is the parliamentarian army, and they would have professional soldiers in charge as opposed to the Earl of this, the Duke of that, and all the rest of it. And so we got the basis of the beginnings of a professional army as opposed to
guards.
Yeah, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
So that was that really. And that's all I know about that. But I can give you a couple of other things that might entertain you. So when you look at the horizon from here, and especially if you look over again between 2 and 3 o'clock where it's dark, it's kind of the Wessex Downs, and you're looking out towards Hungerford and Kintbury. And in the Second World War, so 80 years ago this year, a lot of the D-Day preparations happened here. And again, kind of a bit more than 2 o'clock, not quite 3 o'clock, but in that kind of distance there is where the American 101st Airborne practiced their parachute jumps for D-Day. And they were the Band of Brothers and Saving Private Ryan. That story is based on the 101st Airborne, who were based at Aldbourne, which is just kind of between Hungerford and Swindon, and then through this valley. And then just where you're seeing the low-rise flats, you can see some modern buildings there. That's Newbury Racecourse. And again, if you just came a bit above that to the horizon, you've got Greenham Common Air Base there, which was built at that time for the Second World War. It's actually not a very good air base because it's very steep-sided either side, and so there's a limit to how many runways they could have there. So it's not absolutely ideal. But Eisenhower stayed there the night before D-Day, and there's a really famous photo of him addressing some troops and wishing them success and reinforcing the importance of their role. And then I just recently realised the King of Norway and the Norwegian government in exile in the Second World War was based just outside Greenham Common. On this side of Greenham Common, There are some damn big houses, aren't there, in the trees and all the
Yeah,
rest of it. And there's
on Bury's Bank Road.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
And there's a really big house,
Yes.
and the King of Norway was based there. And at one point, de Gaulle and Churchill had a meeting there, again, because you kind of, you know, you're off the beaten track kind of stuff. Yeah, that's it.
We never there said Henry VIII visited here.
That's right. Henry VIII, you've got Littlecote House, which is his hunting lodge, really, really, really big house. It's still there. It's amazing. It's well worth a snoop. And Elizabeth I also stayed here. She stayed at Shaw House, but she also stayed in the castle. She gave this castle away twice. And I'm sorry, I just cannot remember. Oh, okay. She gave it once to the Earl of Nottingham and once to a lady who was based in Ireland, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And but she didn't tell either party. She'd already given it away. And when they each discovered, they weren't very happy. It was the Earl of Nottingham, as opposed to the sheriff, who had possession of it. And this lady, whoever she was, aristocrat, she stirred up a rebellion amongst the textile workers in Newbury and got them to come and storm the castle, which wouldn't have ended well because, you know, it's a proper castle, you know, you would have hurt yourself. And sorry, I've forgot to tell you, the reason it's quite in the condition it's in now is, okay, they had the siege after that second battle, and that did go on for some months. Ultimately, they surrendered immediately here. There's a little field behind these trees. It's now part of Castle House. That's where they signed the surrender, and the deal was that the royalists would be able to march out with their flags and their bands and make a lot of noise and all the rest of it, keep their dignity intact, and all the rest of it. And a couple of years later, I think it's about 1647, 1648, Parliament passed an act to destroy kind of royalist strongholds so that they couldn't come and, you know, start all over again, basically. And so that's kind of, so yes, I'm sure it was very badly damaged in the battle and all the rest of it, but the reason it's kind of been decimated was quite a deliberate act of demolishing it.
The government said it's got to go.
Yeah.
They left that.
Yes, yeah. So, and that is the sum of my total knowledge.
I'm guessing it's
And
so that nobody would move in and take it on again.
Yeah, you know, I may not be exactly right in every single technical detail, but I'm pretty, you know, I'm thereabouts.
Yes, thank you very much. And
no problem.
your name? Sorry?
David.
David. Thank you very much, Nathan.
No problem. Nathan.
Thank you for that.
Your friend owns some of that.
Some land in Enborn, and
Oh yeah.
right next to.
So we're just making a slow wander back to the town now. Very, very nice Donnington. If you ever visit Newbury, come visit Donnington Castle. Very peaceful, very nice. So yeah, making a slow wander back to the town.